Sometimes people ask this question to genuinely seek an answer. Sometimes they ask it to escape from the truth. I didn't ask it to escape. On the contrary, deep inside, I felt that I already knew the answer. But feeling was not enough. I wanted to see it with my mind as well. So I looked around me. I looked at my life. I looked at myself. And I realized something. This question begins from a much simpler place than we think. I thought about this. Imagine a country. No president, no laws, no police, no courts. On the first day, people might shout, "Freedom!" On the second day, the strong would crush the weak. On the third day, weapons would appear. Within a week, order would disappear. Because everything that is governed must have a governor. So now I ask, if even a country cannot survive without a leader, how can this universe be without an owner? The sun is at the exact right distance. If it were a little closer, we would burn. If it were a little farther, we would freeze. The earth rotates around itself, around the sun, within the Milky Way, not even 1 second off. What does the Quran say? The sun and the moon move by precise calculation. Ar-Rahman 55:5. If there is calculation, there must be one who calculated it. Think of a house, its door unlocked, its windows open. Anyone can enter. Who would live in such a house? No one, because what is valuable is protected. So what about the human body? The heart is placed in the center of the chest, behind bones. The brain is protected by the skull. The eyes are extremely delicate, yet perfectly shielded. Is this a coincidence? The Quran says, "Indeed, we created man in the best form." At-Tin 95:4. Can the best form come from blind randomness? You are breathing right now. No one tells you to inhale. You don't forget. It doesn't stop. Your lungs expand with every breath. They don't burst, they don't tear, they don't fill with water. Now imagine this. What if lungs didn't exist? Oxygen would exist, but useless. Air would exist, but death would be near. I didn't create my lungs. My mother didn't create them. Science didn't create them. So who did? Allah says in the Quran, "Then He fashioned him and breathed into him of His Spirit and gave you hearing, sight, and hearts." As-Sajda 32:9. Creating from nothing is not the work of coincidence. Now think about something else. What if there were no prisons, no punishment, no accountability? Would this world be livable? Would the oppressor and the oppressed be equal? Here comes the real question. If everything ends with death, where does justice fit? The Quran answers clearly. Do not think that Allah is unaware of what the wrongdoers do. Ibrahim 14:42. Justice that is incomplete in this world is completed in the hereafter. If there is no Allah, there is no reckoning. If there is no reckoning, there is no justice. Yet our conscience screams that this cannot be true. Put a pen on the table. Put a notebook next to it. Wait 1,000 years. Will that notebook turn into a book by itself? No. Yet DNA is a chain of information made of billions of letters. Your eye color, your height, your temperament, your susceptibility to disease, all of it is written. How does the Quran describe this? Indeed, we created man from a drop of fluid to test him. Al-Insan 76:2. If there is a test, there must be a tester. If you found a watch in the desert, would you say, the wind made this? Of course not, because there is order, there is purpose, there is harmony. Now think about the eye. There is a lens, there is light adjustment, there are cells that activate in darkness. What does the Quran say? Do they not look at the camel, how it was created? Al-Ghashiyah 88:17. Allah calls humans to observe, because the one who looks, sees. When you do something wrong while no one is watching, why does your heart feel heavy? Who taught you that? Why do you sometimes choose what is right, even when it goes against your own interest? The Quran explains this inner voice. And by the soul, and he who proportioned it, and inspired it with its wickedness and its righteousness. Ash-Shams 91:7-8. Conscience is a proof Allah placed inside the human being. Even the most atheist person, when the doctor says, there is no hope, lifts his head. Oh God. Why? Because denial belongs to times of comfort. In moments of truth, the fitrah speaks. The Quran says, when harm touches man, he calls upon us, lying on his side or sitting or standing. Yunus 10:12. The most fundamental question is this: can something come from nothing? Can sound come from nothing? Can consciousness come from nothing? Science studies the how, but it cannot answer the why. The Quran settles this clearly. Allah is the creator of all things. Al-An'am 6:101. Now the question is no longer, does Allah exist? The real question is, despite all this evidence, what does it take to say Allah does not exist? To see order and be blind? To feel conscience and silence it? To demand justice and deny it? Faith is not shutting down the mind. Faith is using the mind honestly. You do not see Allah with your eyes, but you recognize Him through His signs. And you know this universe does not say, I am ownerless. With every atom it says, I was created.